Welcome to Kearsarge Chronicle. Today we are at the Warner Telephone Museum and we are joined by Scott Hanwell, the president of the Warner Fall Foliage Festival this year, to talk about the classics that have always been around and some of the new touches to this year's festival. Scott, good to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
So you've come on this year bringing a little bit of a new flavor, as it were, to the festival.
Well, yeah, it's my second year on the board. Last year I came on and I was vice president, and this year I was lucky enough to draw the short straw. No, not really. So I'm president this year and it's been great. It's a real challenge. We've got a whole new board this year, and I think one thing that past boards had that we don't have is that history and that knowledge of what goes on from year to year, because it's, you know, 64th year of this festival. And so we were forced to ask the questions because we don't know who does what necessarily every year, because there's so many volunteers working behind the scenes every year that, you know, just things magically seem to happen, and we needed to understand those things. So as a result, we've learned a lot, and I think we, you know, in taking the history of the festival.
So you'd say that the history of the festival guided the changes this year?
We definitely took the history of the festival in consideration when looking at making different changes. You know, 64 years, you pretty much get set in your ways on doing certain things, and festival goers get used to seeing the same things year in and year out. And there's, you know, it's a double-edged sword there. So in that, you know, some people are kind of like, we expect to see that, and some people are like, we always see that. And
so we're keeping the parade.
We're keeping the parade.
Gotta keep the parade. And what's the theme this year?
This year's parade theme is famous firsts. So
famous firsts throughout history.
Throughout history. So whatever first comes to mind, that's great. Let's see how you represent that in the parade.
And what about other changes you've implemented this year? Changes, I know, I've heard there's a big grow local movement in the center of town. Has that somehow influenced this year's event?
Yeah, actually, when the board first met early in the year, we were looking at the numbers, you know, because, you know, the festival kind of needs to be run like a business. And when we started looking at the numbers, we're like, you know, our big food tent, it almost doesn't even seem worth all the effort that goes into it to come out and, you know, make that much in the end. And, you know, all profits from the festival do go back into the community, so we do consider that. That's our goal as a board, is to try to raise as much as we can that will in turn fund community projects. So, but then, you know, after looking at the numbers, we brought in the folks that were involved with the big food tent year in and year out. You know, one of the guys has been there since the mid-70s working in this food tent. So for them, it's not about the money, it's about the community spirit, the community coming together and volunteering in this. So we really, that what made us really think that, you know, we need to consider the history of the festival when making decisions. And as a result, back to your initial question, came the local food tent, and we've totally revitalized the food tent. We've got over 20 companies or local farmers that are involved in one way, shape, or form, whether we're buying their product or they're donating their product at some level, or we're getting the produce locally. That's, you know, we're right down to the ketchup is being made. You're not going to see any, you know, name brand ketchup bottles. Everything that's involved with that food tent is all local. So we're very excited about that.
This year's festival seems to be getting back to itself. You said tons of community involvement. I think a third of the town ends up working the entire festival.
It's amazing.
I mean, most of us who lived in town, we miss half of it because we're there. And I hear you're having a photo contest, and you can find out more right on the Facebook page. Where can people find out more about this year's event?
Well, you can go to our website at wfff.org. That's completely redesigned, and we've got our brochure, of course, that's all over the place. That was completely redesigned as well, but everything in this brochure you'll find on the website. And
that's got the calendar events, the times for the parade, the oxen pull, the woodsman contest, and of course, the local food tent is going to be around all day.
Yep, it has a description of all the companies and farmers involved with this year's food tent and where they're from, and so we're really excited about it.
So now we just got to pray for one good day of rain and one good day of snow. That's the tradition, right? One warm day, one cold day.
Oh, well, that's so true. I mean, it's as hard as, you know, people come to the festival and think, well, they just whipped us together in a month or so. I mean, we're meeting year-round to get this going, and at the end, it's all up to Mother Nature on whether she's going to play nice with us or not. So we hope that she really does.
Cross our fingers. Over 60 years in the making. Come in, see what Warner's all about, a new take on a total local event that benefits many local charities and events right here in town. Scott, thank you very much. When TKC returns, Scott Fabry of the Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice will give us some important prevention tips for colorectal cancer. But first, let's exercise some empty wallet prevention by presenting the businesses that make TKC possible. Stay with us, please.